experience of buying the bag itself that makes Goyard so regrettable. Hi girlies, welcome back to my channel. So Goyard is this brand that I think a lot of people have long admired. It has this shroud of mysteriousness around it because of the fact that it's sort of this elusive brand, right? Like you go on its website, you don't really know what the prices are, you can never really buy stuff online, you have to go to one of its like less than 100 boutiques in the world to get a bag of your choice. And I think a lot of the brand has come about based on this kind of reputation of exclusivity. And yet, time and time again, you see on social media about how people really try to de-influence people to buy this bag. And I think at the end of the day, one of the things I've started to see is that 9 times out of 10, people end up regretting buying Goyard bags. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Alice, and one of the things I love to do is make sure that when you buy a bag, it really is something that you really enjoy and something that you'll make full use out of, because I think that's what ultimately is most important. Whether it's a $10 bag or a $10,000 bag, ultimately the bag that's most worth it is the one that you wear. And I think one of the things that social media has started to prop up is the issue with Goyard and its quality issues, and how Goyard just might not be that bag that you would really love, because at the end of the day, you will probably regret it. And there are tons of reasons, right? So one of the most obvious ones is that Goyard has a ton of quality issues. Now, I myself have a Goyard bag. It is this mini anjou, and I personally have never had issues with it, though I do know people who say that, you know, there's color transfer with the leather straps, there's peeling, sometimes the straps stick together. There was this whole saga of this girl on TikTok who documented her issues with the bags, and I think that these ideas of quality issues for bags that are thousands of dollars is something that you see throughout many of these luxury brands. But one of the things that I think makes people really not want to continue with Goyard is because getting a sense of like repair or a way in which, you know, a brand can then amend a wrong is just not really there. For one, the boutiques are just far and few between. Not everyone lives near one. And the second thing is, social media has shown that there hasn't been much that they've done.
There's like this little tear, and I took it to Goyard and asked them to fix it, and they were like, sorry, we don't fix canvas bags. And I was like, for that price point, you should. But anyway.
Sometimes they do replace the bag, or sometimes you have to pay a fee to maintain the bag. But I think like knowing that you've had such a poor experience, and then sometimes that the customer service is a bit sloppy, has made people just really regret buying Goyard overall. But one of the biggest things that I think people overlook is not just the quality, but you know, the sense that it's so exclusive has actually made it very difficult for people to really assess whether they really want a Goyard bag. Like Hermes, when you buy a Birkin or Kelly, sometimes that's your first time ever seeing such a bag, and so you just buy it because you think you want it, but you don't really actually know if you want it. So when you go into a Goyard store, if you manage to get into one with its long lines and the fact that there are not that many stores to begin with, most of the time, a lot of the bags are just unavailable, and there's not much time for you to really try it on. A lot of the sales associates really try to rush you. It's kind of an in and out experience. You don't really get time to think about it because you might have the bag this day and then the next day it's gone. So a lot of the time, people don't really get the chance to really hold the bag, touch the bag, try on the bag as you would in many other boutiques before making such a big purchase. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people end up regretting their Goyard bags, beyond the quality issues and beyond the customer service. It's the experience of buying the bag itself that makes Goyard so regrettable, because you're in and out within like 10 minutes. It's a bad experience waiting in line, and the sales associates don't make you feel like you have time to really think about it. They have this air of, why wouldn't you want to buy the bag? And so I don't know if it's unlike what other people have felt when they go into many of these boutiques, but I've been to the one in Singapore, I've lined up for the one in Paris and never managed to get in because by the time it reached my turn, they said there were no more bags, and as well as in New York. And I think it's always the same regardless, where you're in and out, the lines are long, and you kind of have to just tell them, what do you want? So you have to already kind of know what you're asking for. And so there's a lack of true exploration for the brand beyond what you're seeing online and what people on like social media are telling you. So the story of this mini anjou is probably one that I think is something that really reflects this experience that I've had. And so when I got this bag, this bag at the time was considered rare. They had limited pieces and they didn't allow everyone to buy this mini anjou because it was so popular. And so at the time I saw it, it was wrapped in its plastic, and I just tried it on for like 5 seconds, and they're like, do you want it? Otherwise we're gonna sell it. What color do you want? We have A, B, C, D colors. And I said, okay, this color. I didn't really have the time to really think about it or really realize that this bag does come with some cons. Like everything comes with its cons, but I would have probably thought about it more if I had known that perhaps these mini anjou handles are really short, so you can't wear this with a thick coat. So this is very much either a top handle bag or, on the shoulder when it's, warmer or spring to maybe early fall. Otherwise, this bag is just a top handle bag. Another thing is when you get this bag, it is pretty straight, and over time it does flop down. And so Goyard is known for its very slouchy look. I guess that's a good thing, but if you're someone who really minds about that like shape, especially when you sit it down, it used to go very nicely like upright. Now it does not do that. And so there are a lot of different things that you just won't know about a bag that sometimes you do know when you go into like a Louis Vuitton store, because those bags have been sitting out for a while. So you do get a sense of like wear and tear. You get to try it on. You get to see different sizes. Sometimes I feel like that just isn't the case at Goyard. Another reason why I think a lot of people end up regretting buying a Goyard bag is that they tend to be pretty impractical. So just like this mini anjou, many of their other bags, like their famous St. Louis bag, which a lot of people use as a tote, just isn't that practical. I also know that because the canvas is so thin and you put a bunch of things in it, it ends up being, pretty impractical because the bag is just not meant to hold so much stuff. And as you can see, this bag is like folding in on itself as we speak. But sales associates and the brand itself says like you're not meant to use the St. Louis as like your work tote and putting a bunch of stuff in.
Goyard employees telling me to stop using my tote as an everyday bag because it's not meant to be used that way. And apparently a Goyard sales associate said this Goyard tote is really meant to cover a Birkin or be used for storage during travel and not for daily use.
But to that, then I'm saying like, why do you make such a big tote if it can't actually hold the weight of the things that could fit inside it? To me, that doesn't really make that much sense, if that makes sense. So I think that a lot of Goyard is just like seeing it online and then people getting it, and there's just this huge discrepancy in how you really envision the bag versus what the bag actually is. And the last reason why I think people end up regretting buying a real Goyard bag is because a lot of people do end up buying fakes of Goyards. And I don't really have a strong opinion about this, but I do recognize that when people buy fakes, it kind of diminishes the value of the real one. But at the same time, one thing that I notice is that Goyards are very easy to fake. Most people can't tell the difference. Sometimes I can't even tell the difference between a real one and a fake one. And I do think that when your brand espouses that you have some sort of craftsmanship or speciality with the canvas or the leather, and other people are able to copy that and make really good pieces and sometimes be even better than your original in terms of quality, I think that goes to show that people end up regretting it when the fake has better quality than the real. And I'm not here to really endorse people buying fakes. I'm just saying that it is problematic when your fake version is better quality than your real one. I think anyone could agree to that. And so that's why people end up regretting buying it, because they're like, well, then what am I really buying here? which I think we all know is oftentimes just the label and the brand, but alongside that, people do expect something, whether that's the customer service, which isn't there, or the store experience, which isn't there, and then the product experience, which also isn't there. I think people then see like this whole trifecta of Goyard, and I'm also very confused why people end up really wanting them. I'd say that I'm no better. As I mentioned, I too have a Goyard bag, but I don't know if I would necessarily ever go and buy another one. Or if I were, it might be their leather or something that's just a little bit more durable or something different. But when it comes to a lot of their popular lines like the St. Louis and their totes, I think people should give a second chance to other things that might be out there in the market that really might be much better than what they're actually getting, and feel like they are getting something that's just more worthwhile and valuable for the money that they work really hard to earn to then spend on something like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experiences with Goyard, especially if you've had like great experiences, because I think that a lot of the narrative on social media is very negative, and maybe one of the reasons that it's doing well is because there are positive experiences. Or if you've just had similar experiences or really resonate with what I've said, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. If you like this video, please do give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!